All right, today I'm going to introduce a software along with a workflow that I think is very beneficial to architects. It was introduced to me by a student last semester, and I think this is going to be a keeper in the architecture workflow. So I'm going to talk about how to use a software called Rayon. So this is a software that is similar to Illustrator as far as the graphic quality, but has a ton of blocks. The library for the blocks, like bathroom, kitchen, bedroom, things like that. All of these come with the software preloaded. And so I'm going to show you a workflow that I've worked on and found ways to generate drawings like this relatively easily. So this software, Rayon, it's not a 3D software, so it's not going to replace Revit or ArchiCAD anytime soon, but the graphic quality and the ease of use make it stick out, and I think make it very valuable in architecture. So I'm going to go over a workflow where I take drawings from Rhino. So this is a model that we're currently working on. We have a clipping plane. So in most floor plans, we're taking a cut at 4 feet above the finished floor level. So I can create a clipping plane at 4 feet. I can do that for either plan or section. And Rhino 8 has what are called clipping drawings. So as I create my clipping plane, I can actually update this and watch the clipping drawing update. So if I wanted to export this, I could do that as a DWG. So that's what I'm going to do in this case. So I'm going to I have a Rhino file. I'm going to create a floor plan or a section from this model, and then I'm going to export that line work as a DWG to Rayon and continue editing it there. Rhino has some drafting tools, but nothing like what Rayon can produce. So I'm going to use the clipping plane tool. So type clipping plane. I want to create a section, so I'm going to cut through this vertically. So I'm going to click vertical, and then holding shift will keep this perpendicular to the C plane, and I'm going to go up. So I have this section, so I'm clipping the drawing, clipping the model, and now I want to create a drawing from this. So I'm going to select the plane and type clipping drawings, and it's asking where do I want to place this. I'm going to place it here. Since my model is at an angle relative to the world XYZ, it placed it at this angle. So what I'm going to do is orient my C-plane in my top view to this unique angle. So to do that, I just did this, set C-plane by 3 points, essentially did that, and then under this orientation view, I just went top of C-plane. So now my view itself is kind of rotated to look at the top of the C-plane, which I've now oriented relative to that drawing. So in my top view, this is kind of what I'm looking for. So I have a drawing here that I can export. Right now it's locked, so you'll see clipping plane 2 is locked, so I just need to unlock all of these in order to edit this if I wanted to, but I'm happy with the way this turned out. So I'm going to select this and type export. I'm going to export it as a DWG. Saying it didn't export all of the geometry. I'm guessing it's this dot, so that's fine. We don't need it. And so in Rayon, you can create a new file. Just go to Home, hit the plus to create a new file. I'm going to work in an existing model that I have here. And I'm simply going to import the DWG. So up here, go to import DWG/DXF. Those are both CAD file formats. So I'm going to take these drawings and import the section. So this is the drawing, and I'm going to hit continue. It asks for an insertion point. So before I do this, let me try this again, actually, because I want to edit the scale. So I'm going to import DWG, find this. So before I bring it into my model, I'm actually going to give it a scale. So I know this wall is 1 foot thick. So it's asking create a scale for this drawing. So I know that distance is 1 foot. Then I'm going to hit continue. And now when I pick an insertion point, it's going to come in at the correct scale. So this is now, if I were to measure this, DI for dimension, it's coming in at 1 foot. So that means the rest of my drawing is the correct scale. And so you'll see that I've started drawings here. So the way this works, there's kind of a model canvas as well as a paper canvas. So these are each, sheets that you can create. So to do that, you can go to page, and I've created a number of pages. I can hit new page. And what's interesting about this is usually you would set the scale of the page and it would scale your drawing itself since it's on that page. Here, when we change the size of the sheet, so I want to use a tabloid, and I want the scale of the drawing to be 1/8 inch. What it's doing is it actually scales the sheet on the drawing, which is clever. So my drawing doesn't change scale, but the sheet kind of changes size based on the size. So I've brought in this line work, and right now this is just kind of dumb line work. This doesn't see this as a wall or a roof or anything. In Rayon there are walls, so that's maybe the closest thing that you'll get to a parametric modeling software like Revit, other than the blocks, which are really handy and can be edited, but they can't really be edited parametrically the way other software can. Revit, ArchiCAD. So I can go in and just select line work and edit it, clean it up. This is a rectangle, and if I want to edit this path, so I can hit edit, and now I can edit this individually. And so edit again, because otherwise it's just going to scale the rectangle. I can hit delete. So hit done. So you're seeing the workflow and the line work here. So at the bottom there are various tools. You can expand any of these. So walls, openings, zone. That's also similar to BIM modeling, where you can kind of have it identify an area or a zone that you label: bedroom, bathroom, etc. Shapes that you can draw: polyline, line, curve, all of that. And then annotation, dimensions, leaders, arrows, text. And then editing tools: trim, offset, align. And what's nice is, for those who know AutoCAD, a lot of the keyboard shortcuts are the same. So if I hit L, enter, that's align. Another line, and then TR for trim. So select element to trim, 2, select paths to trim, and it'll trim that. And I can hit done. So a lot of the familiar keyboard shortcuts and commands based on AutoCAD, similar to Rhino, and a little bit of Revit there too. So you can also create new pages or views this way. A view is basically a view range on that page or on that title block that you can create. And then there's annotate, distance, area. You can add comments and collaborate with people. So a lot of the tools here, there's some similarities with other software. I want to create a section here. So this is cutting through this building. I don't think I've modeled all of this that you see above, so there's no wall here. So we can add that. I want to show some of the wall and roof assembly here, and I'll add furniture and show some textures and things as well. So there are blocks. So this cube icon at the top left shows some of the blocks that can be loaded, and I'm just going to go to, we'll say sofa. So you'll notice, and there's sofa and various furniture in plan. So I'm just going to bring this in. You can click and drag to have it drop in. You'll notice this is in plan. So if I click on it, the family here, so I can look at it in different views. So there's kind of the side view and then front view as well. So in my case, I want a side view. So I'm just going to click and drag that. So that gets brought in, and I can click and drag. Another great thing about Rayon is things snap pretty intelligently. So you can snap to lines and floors and things like that. The other way I can get this alternate version or alternate view of this, I can select it, and then under definition, I can click on the object itself, and then there's different views that I've imported and then not imported. Let's say I wanted a frontal view. I can click on that and it'll update. So this is the front view of that couch. I'm going to delete that. So that's one example of one of the families that you can bring in various blocks here. So just referring to this, so I have first floor and second floor. So I have a couch, and I also have this TV slash credenza here. So I'm going to hit CO. That's the shortcut for copy. I'll bring that down, and though it's in plan view, I can select it and change this view to side view. And so this is a good time to kind of show some of the rotation tools. You can modify any of the blocks or any geometry here. So I can rotate, and then I can also mirror. So it makes it really easy to edit these things. The other way to do that would be to select it. I can type MI for mirror and then click a point and mirror that same geometry. So that's pretty. So I have my couch, the TV. And so we've seen how one block can have multiple views. You just have to load them. On the right, there's different toolbars here. The name of the model itself, which we can rename. Let's call this draft SD, schematic design. And it also has so the model canvas with various zones. We can toggle wireframe on and off. So if you want more of a AutoCAD based workspace, you can toggle that. You can turn on the grid as well. So units, right now I have these set to feet and inches. And then when you select something, you have the ability to modify it, modify the block itself, and you can change how it shows up. So visually, if I want this to be shaded gray, It already is, but it's a little subtle. So I'm going to select this. There's styles here too. So I can click on a style that I already have, or I can replace all and say new style. So I can create a new style, and we'll call this gray fill. And I can click on this add fill. So let's say I want something that's a little darker. I can set it to be any of these colors, and I can also play with the opacity so I can layer some geometry. And then there's also options for texture, hatch patterns. I can load my own PAT file for a hatch pattern. I can load my own image. So there's a lot of really nice kind of graphic techniques that you can play with here beyond just the traditional fill and hatch. There's texture, like image textures and things. So if you go to texture, there's a bunch that kind of load with Rayon. And you can edit them and use a lot of these tools. All right, so I have that as gray. And again, if I want to change it, you can select this. So now that I've created that gray fill as one of my shapes, I can click on this and I can kind of choose from the catalog of various fill styles that I've created and line styles. So it gives you kind of a palette of previously used styles. All right, referring back to this, for the sake of this tutorial, let's see if we can just grab this door. So I'm going to select it, CO for copy, bring that down, and let's look at this. So I select the door. If I look at the definition, there is a front view of this, so I can select that. Sometimes it takes a couple clicks to get these to import properly. So now it's seeing this door in elevation, which is what we wanted to see here. Again, we're cutting a section through this building, but we've dropped in various geometry that we want to see in elevation. And already this is graphically more pleasing than a lot of the line work that you'll see in Revit. So I think for graphics, for interior designers, this kind of software is a no-brainer. So I'm going to select this elevation. I want to make this a little bit lighter, and one way I can do that is I'm just going to go to replace all, create a new style, and I'll just say 50%, because I want to go 50% opacity here. So setting that to 50. And that's the opacity of the fill. So I can also modify the stroke. So if 2 mil is too big, you can bring that down to 1 mil. And again, I can, if I want to edit that style, I can hit this pencil here and change the opacity. We're going to bring this down a lot more, 18%, so a little bit lighter. And let's say I wanted to bring in this bed, CO for copy. The other way I would bring in the bed would be to search for it up here. So under libraries, just type bed, and you can find it, drag and drop it when you find what you're looking for. And so again, I want to select this and change the orientation. So this has a few different definitions. This one, oh, this is a group. So I've grouped the kind of lampstands here. So I'm going to right click this and say ungroup, select the bed, and king mattress, I'm going to set this to side view, and it has to get rotated So I hold shift to rotate orthogonally. And I want to mirror this, so I can just flip it. All right, so that's how to bring in furniture. I'm going to show how to create walls. So if I want to draw a wall, let's say I want to draw a wall that's, let's look at the distance. So there's a wall that is, and I'm going to hit DI, enter, for distance, and this is for dimension, DI, enter. So 12'9" from here. The other way to measure is just DS, that's distance. And this one is 19'3", so 12'9" and 19'3". So I'm going to draw a wall. .9, hold shift to keep it orthogonal, and I'm just going to move this over. So I have walls at the locations. So I'm going to make this wall, and there's different wall types you can choose from. So various thicknesses. So again, I can change the fill type, stroke under styles here. I can change the properties of it. So this is 8'7" tall. So I'm going to create a new style for this, and we'll say interior wall 2, and my thickness, we'll set this to be 6 inches. We'll make this a light gray. Select this CO for copy, move this over. This wall has moved since my Rhino model, so it's kind of a feedback loop of updating the Rhino model. From what I understand, there's no way to live sync the Rhino file with the Rayon file. That would be a nice feature, to be able to just hit update and the drawing updates from Rhino or another software. So that should be top of the priority list. But you're seeing the kind of walls that I edited here. I can create a new style or edit the one that I already have. When you're creating a wall, and WA or W is the shortcut, you can choose which side of the line you want it to create the wall on. So if I start drawing this, if I want it to be on the other side, I can just hit S to toggle, or S to center. So just keep hitting S if you're not happy with kind of where your wall snaps to. And so under line, so if I hit L or go to line, let's say I want to insulate this roof. So I can select here, come down, and select. And as far as the line type, so I can create my own. So I'm going to click on this, new style, we'll call it insulation. And then under stroke, there are various line types too here. So I'm going to click on the dash type and then scroll all the way down, and you'll see that there is a bat line type here. So I can change the size So set that to whatever size makes sense. So I'm going to also indicate how to kind of tag an area. So let's say I wanted to, I'm going to delete this. So let's say I have a bedroom that I want to name. I'm going to use the zone command here. Z is the shortcut. And so our Rayon will kind of indicate where each area is. You just have to mouse over it. It'll figure out what's enclosed by where the walls are. And so I can select this and say guest bedroom. And then hit enter. Oh, you have to click on this hatch. Enter. And then with the zone selected, you can create your own style or modify an existing. So I'm going to create a new style. We'll call this bedroom. I'm going to give it a light color here. So again, I can also go to texture, give it any of the textures that load with Rayon. So there's some pretty good graphic options here. So that was using the zone tool, and it'll give you the area by default. If you want to calculate an area, you can also just use this drop down and go to the area command. So AA is the shortcut, so AA, enter, and you just have to create a closed polyline. So if I do this, it's going to calculate the area at 1,183 square feet, then hit escape and it disappears. So for quick area measurement tools, these are pretty good. All right, so after I've created some walls, and I modeled these walls or I drafted these in section. Obviously you can create these in plan view. And to create an opening, let's say I wanted to create another door here, I can click on the opening. OP is the shortcut. And if I've loaded a bunch of doors previously, and again, I can load them here, I can also go to this active block. I can select which opening type I want, and then it pulls up the full list of different doors and openings. So doors and windows show up here. So let's say I wanted a pocket door, hit select, and it'll find the wall that I'm looking for. And then it asks which side you want me to insert on, so it does that. And when I insert it, I can also modify this. So if I wanted to manually edit the line work, I could hit edit, go in and modify this. So all of these things are editable. Not quite parametric, but when you do edit this, it's going to edit all of the other instances in your project. So let's say I take this and edit that door. Any other door that's that size, this looks like a different size, will also update. So before you make any changes, select it, right click and say make unique, Control U. So that way when you make edits to this, it's not going to affect all of the other instances of that block in your drawing. Okay, so things like furniture can be dropped in pretty easily. They have a good selection of kitchens, closets, furniture, things like that. And all of it's editable. So I can select this, edit, this place setting. Say I don't like that, I can just delete it. I can go in and delete the place settings from this and hit done. So when I add a door, so let's say I wanted to duplicate this door, I can select it and hit CO for copy. And as I kind of snap onto various walls, it's going to try to bring it in. So it's going to try to give me a door here, then I can hit escape. Let's say I wanted to flip the direction of this. I could select the door, mirror vertically or mirror horizontal. Okay, so you'll see that updating here. All right, so some other things just to be aware of as you're modeling, and you can annotate as well. So dimension, again, DI, click and click. So not too bad coming right out of the box. I wanted to pull these away. So I was noticing when I was first using the zone command, it was covering all of my furniture. So it's important to set up layers in your project. I created a new layer by doing this for zones. And so all of my zones are on a layer that's below everything else. So I have one for blocks that I put all of my blocks on, and then this zone layer is below. And if they are on the same layer and you just want to bring this below it, you can select it, right click, and say arrange, send backward or send to back. So this will send it all the way back or just back one, essentially. So you can play with the layering of your blocks and geometry here. All right, so let's say I wanted to create a floor slab here. I'm just going to use the wall command, and I'm going to create a new kind. Call this floor. The fill, we'll make this the same gray. And our line weight, our stroke, we'll make this 10 mil, so we'll make this a little thicker. And right now I clicked and noticed it's centering on the line. I hit S to flip it to the other side, and I can keep hitting S if it's not correct. And then hit enter when you're done, hit escape a few times. So I have the floor slab. Let's say I wanted to show an earth hatch underneath this. I can simply create a rectangle. And notice it's using this hatch. I'm going to select it. Instead of plywood, I'm going to use a hatch that I've already created. I made an earth hatch earlier. So that's going to show up like this. So hatches, blocks are really easy to work with, to scale, to edit. All right, so once we're happy with this, and again, I've set up this page, so I can tell it to print just this page, and it'll print it at 1/8 inch scale because that was the scale that we set this page to. So when I click on it, you'll see 1/8 inch scale. That's the scale of the drawing. So now I can go to File, Export, PDF. This will be page 5. And you can see the preview of it. So I can hit Export. And now if I pull that up, you'll see the PDF that was just created. And the line weights come in pretty nice here. Again, you can change all of those. Obviously, you know, furniture would be the lightest line weight in this drawing. We'd have to play with that a little bit, but it came out pretty clean. So hopefully this was helpful, and hoping this opens up some new avenues for graphics.